Welcome everybody in the Banking and Finance Post Security Summit 2016. As we all know that after 8th of November, our country has taken a flight to a cashless destination and we don't have a return tickets in our hands now. So with this regime of demonetization, online banking is become a need of ours. And at the same time, the banking security has come out as a major issue. While we see around 32 lakhs debit cards faced a security breach issue, and RBI had to take strict actions against for it. We all know now that the cyber security in banking and finance sector has become a major issue, which is needed to be deliberated and to be discussed by the stakeholders. And that is why we have created this platform for an informal discussion between all the major stakeholders of banking and finance industry, whether it is a Reserve Bank of India, nationalized banks, private banks, or last but not the least, the important stakeholders, industry, including the technology provider for banking and finance sector. So, to start with the inaugural session, I invite the eminent dignitaries on stage who will be joining us for the inaugural session of Banking and Finance Post Security Summit 2016. I invite Mr. M. Nagarajan, Chief Executive Officer of Surat Smart City, to please join us on stage for the inaugural session. Round of applause for Mr. M. Nagarajan. While you will be listening to him, you will get to know what visionary officer he is and what exemplary changes he has made in the system in terms of civic tech, if you term it rightly. And then I invite one of the most important and the epicenter of Indian banking and finance sector, from Reserve Bank of India, Chief General Manager, Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar. A round of applause for Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar, please. And now the organization which has changed the picture of Indian banking system, especially the payment system and transaction system. And with the advent of that, now there is a revolutionary change in our economy as well as the banking sector. From UIDAI, Government of India, Assistant Director General of UIDAI, Mr. Sumnesh Joshi. I invite Mr. Sumnesh Joshi on stage. He's a dynamic speaker and a thought leader. Then I invite Mr. Murtaza Bhatia, Practice Head of Security and Data Center Services in Dimension Data, to please join us on stage. Okay. I invite Mr. Vineet Hingar, Head of BFSI in Dimension Data, to please join us on stage for the inaugural session. I also invite Dr. Ravi Gupta, CEO of ILES Technomedia Private Limited and Editor-in-Chief of the Banking and Finance Post magazine. A round of applause for Dr. Gupta also, please. I request eminent dignitaries on stage to light up the lamp for the formal inauguration of the Banking and Finance Post Security Summit 2016. Request for a lighting of lamp. Invite a presentation from industry we can call it technology presentation. Before that, I request our CEO, Dr. Ravi Gupta, to welcome everybody in the Banking and Finance Post Security Summit 2016. Dr. Ravi Gupta, please. A round of applause for him, please.
Welcome you all. It's a honor and a privilege to have eminent dignitaries on the dais, both from the industry and the government, and the RBI, which is the regulatory body of the banking sector in the country. As you would have noticed, the theme of the today's program is about data security. After the huge rise in the banking transactions, which are on especially the digital transactions, which we are seeing in last 5 years in this country, there is another rise of cyber crimes, hacking, and various other aspects related to it. And data security in the banking sector is becoming the very, very core of IT implementation of the whole sector. And in this context, we thought of having this session, this event today. And this event becomes more important from another angle, that after the 8th of November, the whole banking scenario of the nation has changed dramatically. And we are seeing the major push happening at the highest levels for making digital payments possible, and we are all going to see perhaps a hockey stick rise in the digital payments ecosystem in this nation. So this theme of security couldn't be more contextual in that regard. So with this, we have in our inauguration session, we have RBI to talk about regulatory issues related to security and the digital payment ecosystems. We have the UIDI, which is introducing the whole Aadhaar-enabled platform across the country, and the government has given a deadline of June the next year to be implemented, which is again a landmark move by the government for Aadhaar usage. And also we have Mr. Nagarajan, who implemented the first digital village in this country in Gujarat. And he did a lot of experiments with cashless payments. And I think we have that experience with us. When the whole nation is being talked about being digitized, it will be a good idea to listen to him. And we have with us the industry leaders in this segment. We have Dimension Data with us. We have Mr. Murtaja Bhatia and also Mr. Vineet from Dimension Data, who will talk about various technical aspects in this context of data security in the banking sector. So with this, I welcome you all. Thank you so much.
I request Dr. Gupta to please present bouquets to our eminent dignitaries on stage as a token of welcome at the Banking and Finance Post Security Summit 2016. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. Now it's time for a view from industry, how they look at this cyber security issue in today's scenario in banking and finance sector. So it is my pleasure to invite for a technical presentation Mr. Murtaza Bhatia. He is the practice head of security and data center services in one of the most renowned technology companies, not in India, also abroad, Dimension Data. A round of applause for Mr. Murtaza, please, for the technology presentation.
Welcome to everyone for this event today, and good morning to all of you. What I'm going to do in this presentation, it's a short presentation of 15 minutes, as indicated. I'll be giving you a technology view and how we can have a cyber security for the digital age. We are getting into and embarking into a digital age now, and digital India is the very prime thing that is happening nowadays. How do we secure our digital infrastructure? How do we change our infrastructure to embrace the digital theme that is going all across, whether it is an enterprise, whether it is a government agency, whether it is a bank or everyone. So what we are talking about is the cyber security required for a digital age today. Let me brief you about a short view on what is the current security landscape, right? Digital revolution is here. Whether you like it, not like it, we will have to embrace it. We'll have to change ourselves to adopt the digital methods that are coming up and change our infrastructure to embrace these technologies. Whether we like it or not, right? The world's largest taxi firm doesn't own a single asset, right, in terms of taxis. They are all digital. Whether we like it or not, the world's largest hotel services doesn't have a hotel room. And that's what will happen to all of us, right? To all of us in the banks and the financial industry also, right? Everything is supposed to move to a virtual world where we can connect, we can embrace the technology and access the required stuff as and when required, right? And data is the lifeblood, as we spoke, and this is the theme of this event where we are talking about the data security, right? And we see that technology can access and view and manipulate information is what key for the CEOs nowadays. So how we can use the technology and manipulate or analyze the data that is coming from all sources and do the right business decisions to keep up the business and running and keep our clients and customer more happy, right? It's an experience world. Everything goes to or boils down to the experience that we give to our clients is what we are looking into, right? And this would warrant everybody's data center to change. And this is Dimension Data view of what the next generation data center ready for digital infrastructure should be looking like, right? So if you see on the top, you have all the different kinds of devices, users, application, workloads, corporate applications, and huge amount of data that you are getting or collecting from different types of systems and sensors and devices that you have in your infrastructure, right? And also spreading across locations, right? Data is coming from each and every location all across the entire infrastructure that we have as a company. So to have this, we should have the infrastructure piece, which is on-prem infrastructure piece, which is your virtual infrastructure that you are putting, where you will have your compute, your storage, your network all connected, and the data lies there. And in between you will have a workload, and you will have to embrace or connect to the hybrid or the cloud world, which would make you more agile, more mobile to give those experiences to your client. And the center, the workload has to move either on-prem or off-prem based on the demands, based on the need. And you will need a flexibility to move this infrastructure from on-prem to off-prem, spin off off-prem when there is a huge load requirement. And the data center capability should be having those kind of infrastructure. The new digital age would require those kind of infrastructure, which is faster GTM. In a minute you can bring up your new apps or new services that you want to enroll for the client experience. And all this has to be wrapped around with security. If security is not planned right in the heart or the design of your data center, which you are preparing for your new digital infrastructure, then it becomes a padded security work, and that will, stop you for innovating more and more. That is where our concern is. When we are talking about embracing new technologies, new initiatives on digital front, the first thing that questions us is what is the security of the data, right? We started asking issues on security when we started wearing the health band, right? What happens about the data that the health band is collecting and giving it to your mobile device or any other devices. In between, if somebody takes your health data, what will be the information? And same is for financial transactions, right? We saw because of cashless transactions, the pockets mobile money transfers have become evident. And what happens if the client keeps or the customer keeps their wallet full and the mobile is lost? How do we protect that, right? Because with the app, with the wallet in the mobile, there will be an access to the bank accounts, there will be an access to the amount that is lying in the wallet. So how do we put in authentication encryption so that nobody else other than the user of that wallet or user of that mobile can use those kind of technology? So everything has to be coupled. All applications, all your infrastructure has to be integrated with security very well so that you can put a control, desired control to give the experience as well as the security protection to your end users and to your customers. More importantly, the experience to the customer, right? That is where the digital world is going. And the embracing or the adoption of digital world will happen if the experience is good. And that is what being talked about everywhere, right? So that's about the data center. Once we talk about building this data center and converting this data center into a more digital acceptance, right, or digital world acceptance, we will also need to operate and manage these data centers. So can we do it in the traditional way of operating, managing the data center? No. Now, because there is a complexity of on-prem and off-prem hybrid IT coming up, right? How do we have a common management framework and a network that doesn't have a boundaries or a perimeter? How will I manage this from a single pane? Plus, how do I manage security of the entire infrastructure, which is under my control within my data center in my premises, and half of it or more than half of it is outside in somebody else's data center or in the cloud where I don't have a control over it. So how do I secure that piece? How do I operate and manage this? Because security, as I keep saying everywhere in every forum I speak, security is as good as how you have managed today. So you have the best of the security controls, but if you have not managed it today morning, you are outdated. That's how the threat landscape is changing. That's how the new threats are coming up. So if you have not addressed the threats that have come up while you were sleeping last night, then you are insecure. All your investment in security goes for a toss, right? So that has to upkeep. So manage and operate piece has to be embedded in your design, has to be embedded into your ideas of digital innovation, right? So that's where we come and talk about. Now when we talk about building this data center and operating and manage it, still we will have challenges. This is what the questions when I get when I talk about new data center designs, I talk about adoption of cloud technologies, I talk about mobility, I talk about digital infrastructure connecting sensors to improve the client experience and gather data and improve the client experience. This is what the questions I get, right? People tell me, how do I enforce policy? How do I consistently enforce policy across the widespread global network? I want policies to adhere to laws in India and regulation in India, and I want to adhere the same infrastructure as to adhere the laws and regulation in some other country in some other different way, right? So that's the challenge that I see. This is the first question that is been asked by board whenever I go and discuss about digital innovation and digital infrastructure, right? Secondly is how orchestration. It is very easy to bring up an application because software is running at a very fast pace, right? People are developing and innovating the softwares at a very high speed. Do we have the infrastructure to provision that software available in that faster pace? Yes. Right? So we have the infrastructure available to port those softwares that are our applications that are being developed, and the applications are being developed at a very fast rate. So our GTM has shrunk, right? Any new services, new technology, new experience that we want to give to our client, it happens in no time. But do we have that fast security adoption for those new technologies happening? No, because why? Because we afterthought. We think about developing the application and the services, and after that we think about how we will secure it. That's the issue. So can we provision the security as fast as we provision today in infrastructure? You swipe your credit card in 5 minutes. The cloud services provider will tell you, they will give you the server online with your desired OS and desired application running onto it in 5-10 minutes. Can we provision security for that server in 10 minutes? Is the challenge, right? So that is how we will have to keep. Access control is a big aspect. We need to control people everywhere, wherever they are. We need to tie access to the identity to the end user rather than the infrastructure or devices that they are using. How do we do that? Plus there is a complexity of multiple data centers we have because of the geography issues, because of the scale that we do business in, right? One data center or data center available in one geography is not enough for our business. How do we keep consistent policies, consistent security control across all? Right? This, apart from that, there is a regulation. There is RBI, we spoke, right? It's behind the back of financial industry in India saying, please do security, security, security. I've seen RBI security guidelines running from last 7-8 years now. And the adoption has very recently started in the industry, right? People are talking security, especially the banks in India. Have started in last 2-3 years talking about security. But the guidelines is available long back. It's a huge guideline. What to do in security and how to do in security, right? So that's the challenges we have. And this is not only the challenge. There is a change profile of cybercrime. There is no similar crimes that we see. The crime scenes have changed. The people who do these crimes have changed. They are innovating. They are changing at a faster pace than what we are talking about security for our infrastructure, right? And the attacks are motivated now. They are motivated by profits that they get, right? Industrial espionage, competitive intelligence, right? That is how they are doing. And there is a big market for it. There's a big market, there's a big industry for it. And every info that they collect has a price tag. There is a menu card in the dark net available for every piece of information that you need. And that is what is motivating the hackers and criminals to innovate their technologies to attack infrastructure, right? So there are passwords, credentials, there are personal data, fraudulent social engineering collection that happens, and each and every data is sold. And there is a menu card available for each and every piece of information that they collect, right? And above all this, whatever we do for security, whatever is the profile in change, whatever we do operations, hacks keeps happening. This is the world data breach map. The numbers and the amount these companies have, gone through is very huge, right? And this is how people will do about it. I just want to take 5 minutes at how targeted attack happens on an infrastructure. What is the process? So they are using a step-by-step methodical scientific process to attack, right? And they are using the latest and the greatest of technologies to attack, right? So that is where we need to, and most organizations have made the significant investment, right, in protecting their infrastructure, right? But this approach currently is on point solutions, right? I need to connect to my internet, I need a firewall. I need to put up an application, I need to put something in front of my application so I can do an access control only. Who gets an access to application, who doesn't get an access to application. But there is a social engineering attempt that in the cyber kill chain, a hacker will do where your access control will not work, because he will try to guess the access control through multiple mediums, right? Through botnet, through phishing attacks, through social engineering attack. Then the latest and greatest of application authentication that you have will fail. right? So we need to have a view on this, and this is real. So I'm not saying a story, I'm not trying to create a fear or a FUD about it, but this is real. It has happened in India recently also, right? And this is a phenomenon across the globe. Across the globe, we have seen that this is happening. So we are a global organization. We talk to many financial companies across the globe. We are their security advisors, and this is what we have seen, right? And it's not only about collecting info. There's different methods or different types of hacks that have happened, right? Also, right? So there is ransomware where the hackers encrypt the data and ask for a ransom. There is exfiltration of data through botnet activities that has happened where millions and millions of customer data has been exfiltrated outside, right? So there's different kinds of attacks and hacks that happens. This is one of the major things that we have seen very recent, right? What we did to protect the smart card, we put a chip on that smart card, right? So that it cannot be duplicated, it cannot be tampered with. And this is a new attack that we have seen where the chip itself is compromised. So you put a chip, compromise card onto an ATM machine, and the ATM machine is automatically installed in a malware. Forget whether the transaction using that malicious card happens or not happens, but the malware gets installed on the ATM, right? This is the latest that we have seen. So coming back to all this, there are two parts of attack, right? You have a digital infrastructure that two-way hackers can attack you, right? One is through your applications that you are running, which is your internal or your front-ending applications to the client, or through your endpoints. Then endpoint can be an endpoint, mobile devices, or a sensor that you have put in place, right? There is only two ways, right, to attack. Application is a frontal assault. You put an application for your business and they will do a frontal attack. They will attack on your applications, right? Generally what we do is do some primary authentication or patching on the applications before we put the applications on live, right? And the second is the Trojan horse, which is the endpoint. I install something on the endpoint, whether it is a laptop, device, sensor, I install something on that piece so that it silently works and keeps shipping me the data that I want. So it will be like a master-slave bot kind of an activity where the Trojan is instructed to do something and the Trojan follows the master and either sends the data or encrypts or corrupt the data available on the device. That's how we do. And this is the most fearful. Today if I wear a hood, people will feel I'm a hacker. So this is the most fearful picture that we see. Now all this is available information about security and the technologies that we see, the technologies that we work, the issues that we see in the technology. But what we see as Dimension Data, as a company, what we see throughout the globe, right? And how we see. This is how we have built our threat intelligence as a company, right? As a company, we have 5 different companies under entity umbrella which works as a security advisor, as a security SI, as a security partner with our clients, right? And there are so many clients available. And this is using the entity internet backbone that we have. This is what we see across the globe. We have so many security operation centers across the globe. We see 40% of the internet traffic flows through entity communications links that we have given all across. So that is where the threat intelligence comes from. So we have sensors, we have operation centers, we have clients where we are managing on site, and all this if I put together into one portal, this is the amount of data that we collect and we analyze. And this is the key findings out of the report that, out of the data that we have collected. So what we see is the end user is the weakest link. That is where the target happens, right? 16% anomalous activity has increased from 2015 to 2016. That's what we have seen. 18% rise in the malware that we have seen, right? 60% of the network at least has one vulnerability, and these vulnerabilities, we have a rating of how old these vulnerabilities. So the average we have seen is around about 3 to 5 years old vulnerability still exist in the client infrastructure, right? And 70% of the incident response engagement were result of spear phishing. It's a big number, 17% by spear phishing. So that means that there is a lack of awareness in terms of security to the end user, what they should click, what they should talk, and how they should react to an email or a communication that is gone to them, right? 21% of the vulnerability, as I said, is identified as more than 3 years old. So there's a time span of 3 years where the people, 21% of them have not been patched in last 3 years. Right, and 79% of the organization supported has no incident response plan. And this is the data that we have collected, right? Plus, we also see the perimeter is no more, right? We do and go and understand the infrastructure that it is broken. There is no location, fixed location that the user works from. Right, there is no fixed amount of number of users that the client has in the infrastructure, and the data center, there is no perimeter. The data center has to up and live available on the public infrastructure to do the experience in the business, right? And this is the complexity. So in each area, if you want to align to a security technology vendor or a technology provider, these are the security technology provider. Each logo stands for a security solution in the area you see in each of these boxes. So how to select which technology is right for your infrastructure, which technology will help, right? After all these issues and big things on security issues that we see, we still believe, as a company, we still believe security makes innovation possible. Because the first question on innovation comes to about security, right? If I want to leave the boundaries out, if I want to allow my applications to be used to, if I want to make the end user mobile, if I want to give a rich experience to my end user, we still feel that security makes things impossible. How? This is our approach. All right. Traditionally, we think that the data center is protected from north to south, south to north access, but we also need to think about the lateral data movement, and these are the things that we can do in terms of lateral data movement. This is what we need to do. We need to encompass in every technology, embed security in every technology that we think of. We think of collaboration and communication, we need to embed security into it. We think of data center, we need to embed security into it. We think of end user computing, we need to embed security into it. And that's how Dimension Data will help you embed security right into the areas of technology itself, right? And this is the reference model that we talk about, right? We dissect the complete infrastructure into different towers, and this is what we need to do in terms of security across the towers. And this is how you will secure. And what we do is we put them on a maturity model, right? So you see in the last row, there is a maturity scale. And you need to see what tower, what solution is at what maturity level, and how we can improve that maturity so that you have a security posture which is always improving, right? This is what we talk about. Now, why Dimension Data is our global track record. It's a huge track record of security. By far, we are, I think, the largest security system integrator on the planet, right? We do around about more than entity security. Entity as a group, we do more than around about 1.5 to 1.6 billion dollar of pure security work, which puts it to consulting, implementation of technologies, and the support and operations all across the globe, right? So these are the core vendors who are we are global number one partners for them, and this is what we align people with, right? So big part that we have brought new in security is the automation. How do we automate security? How do we make security more dynamic so that it adjusts automatically to the changing environments, whether we have internal changing infrastructure or the external threat which is changing all across. And this is how we start with. So I just want to take 1 minute because I think I'm already up of my time, but this is what we do, and this is how we do, right? We do 3 level of engagement with our clients, when we engage with our clients. One is a workshop to understand what is the current posture. So what is the perception versus reality? Ask questions and understand what is the perception and check for the reality check. And then we do the architecture review and then we do the detailed infrastructure audit. Right? That is how we do 3 levels of assessment. And this is what our approach is. Whatever you do in security, incident will still happen. What we need to do is cut down the reaction time, cut down the resolution time. And this is where we help our clients to cut down the reaction time and the resolution time, so that the downtimes that you have, the issues that you have, the impact that you feel about security is reduced. And in summary, this is what we tell every client to do about, right? So take a security architecture approach rather than the point product approach. Patch everything that you have. Keep a robust system of matured and robust system of patch management that you have. Do a monitoring, as I have already said. You are as good as how you have managed and monitor your security infrastructure. Do the awareness and keep the backup, right? Lastly, I want to just keep a thought around it. Last year we predicted certain security stuff which came through, and we are doing this. For 2007, this is our prediction, right? So this is what we are saying, that security is accelerating digitization, because if you have good security, adoption of digitization will become far, far, far easier, right? And that is where all digitization initiative starts with security. You go and talk anywhere, your first project or the first initiative that the client takes is robust security, strengthen security, right? Sensor is becoming the perimeter now. So the endpoint, the sensor itself is a perimeter. There is no perimeter now in the infrastructure, right? Identity makes a comeback. So that's what we feel. Your identity has to be strong. Governance on the identity has to be strong. That's our prediction, and we will see all global projects and strengthening on these areas will happen in 2017. And intelligence is driving predictive cybersecurity posture. So collection, gathering of information and deriving a meaningful intelligence is the key to the success. That is where we see large security operations center project happening, especially in India in the financial industry, where you need to collect and bring data all to one location so that you can do a meaningful analysis and do a predictive analysis about from that data. That will still happen in 2017. And secure hybrid IT is the building block for the hyper virtualized security is what we see. So hybrid IT will stay, and there will be a hyper virtualized software. Security as a software will soon arrive, right? And that has to happen. So that's all from my side. I think, thank you very much for a patient hearing, and hope the time that you have spent with us in this presentation was fruitful with some information. We have a booth outside. We have people from our company available in different expertise. We can help you and discuss throughout the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murtaza. You highlighted about embedding security in any technology. And yes, you are also, I mentioned it is also into cloud and data centers. And when a bank goes into cloud, it becomes, the perception is that they become more vulnerable to security threats. So how security can be provided to these modern technologies? You rightly elaborated it. Thank you very much for it. And now we will listen to a regulator's perspective. You all know that 32 lakhs cards were breached, and then our regulator RBI came in front and take initiatives for customer protection, whether it is investing the bank cybersecurity status individually separately for banks, or tightening the noose around the cyber frauds by various means. One of them is replacing the cards. So there we saw a major role of RBI, and now in this demonetization regime, in this era of demonetization, again RBI's role becomes very important, and again security issues will come, and how Reserve Bank of India will take it up, and how security is important for Reserve Bank of India. We have a very right person to talk about it, the Chief General Manager of Reserve Bank of India, Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar. I request, sir, to please come on stage and address all of us. A round of applause for Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar, please.
Good morning, and thanks for the introduction. I was debating whether I should have a presentation to be made or whether I should just generally talk. Typically, one thing I find is when there is a presentation made, one tends to stick around the slides which are there. So I thought I will not really have a presentation made, but I will cover some of the points which perhaps need to merit discussion at this stage. I know all of you will like to bombard a lot of questions on the withdrawal of the currency notes and what we plan, what is the way forward, especially for the digital migration to the digital or migration to the electronic modes. A lot of information is being published in the media, whether it's the electronic media or the print media. A lot of us have strong views on that. So for the time being, I'm not really going to talk about that. But let's understand one thing, there's a huge opportunity here. I'm sure that everybody in this room would like to do a transaction without using paper currency or a coin. We would like to have an electronic transaction. But at the same time, all of us have a nagging fear at the corner of our mind saying whether this transaction is safe, whether it is secure, and whether it will not come out with something which was not intended to. The best of the security experts always have some lurking fear as to something which is going wrong or not. Today happens to be the day when I'm told that in 6 of the airports they are going to do away with the baggage tags. I always used to wonder, why do we need to have that security stamp put on the baggage tag? And one of the things that at least in the Indian ethos we know is, we assume at every security checkpoint that the previous guy did not do his job. Now when you enter an airport, there is some amount of security validation that is done. Ideally, whatever has to be done should be done at that entry point. There was a mention about the perimeter made in the presentation made by Dimension Data. All of us know about the perimeter. So if you enter the airport, that's the point at which a person should be frisked, checked. All what has to be done has to be done. So we do that there. The next point is you go to the counter or you do a kiosk check-in. There is some validation or some security done there. Again, you go for the next validation, which is the frisking when you walk through the metal detector, when the X-ray baggage machine is there. Just before you enter the aircraft, again there is there. Why do we need so many checkpoints? And my view is that we always assume that the previous guy did not do his job properly. That's good for a physical world. But when it comes to money, and that is where Reserve Bank likes to see, that the depositor's money, I am a depositor of a bank, the money that I have kept in the bank is safe. It is secure. I get it when I need it. And I should be able to get it in a manner which is convenient for me, which is why the new delivery channels are coming in. There is also this debate saying that are banks having the various delivery channels which are comfortable for the customer. I'll just take half a minute and then go back to this. When my father goes to a bank, he needs his passbook to be updated. And belonging to a generation which is pretty old, sometimes he's not able to go. So I go on his behalf, go to the bank, get his passbook updated, and then I come back. The first thing is here is, where is that red initial on the right side? Try as I might to tell my father that red initial doesn't matter, it's just a scribe. I couldn't put the red initial and give it to you. What is the authenticity? He says no, unless that is there. He doesn't treat that balance figure which is there as valid. In my case, I may get my passbook updated, I may not go bother about a passbook, I may get the statement through internet. Whatever way I want, I may be able to do it. I'm happy with that level of security. My son never goes to the bank at all and never has something called an account statement. Whenever he wants, he's got a mobile device or some other device through which he knows what's the balance. He doesn't care whether the balance is arrived at the right manner or not. He's happy with that level of security. So which security is it that we need to provide for? This is a dilemma which keeps haunting us always. And the bigger challenge about having the appropriate level of security is to decide what is it that is appropriate. Level is one, and what is appropriate. So this is where the Reserve Bank, maybe 10, 15 years ago, used to give prescriptive guidelines saying, thou shalt do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and everybody had to necessarily follow. We have moved away from that. We know banking sector has really come of age. We know that there is enough level of awareness both amongst the bankers as well as their technology service partners as to what is it that has to be provided. So we've moved over from there to an era where we say these are the critical minimum parameters that have to be provided. Anything over that, great, but anything below that is not acceptable. So this is what we have tried to do it. I'll try to expand this word security by various alphabets which are there, and that gives possibly the basis on which Reserve Bank tries to look at security. The S stands for standards. We no longer say this is the security protocol or the security tool or the device or the particular secure service which has to be done. Instead, we only say this is the standard, follow the standard. Anything more than that, as I said earlier, is certainly acceptable. The next alphabet in security stands for E, and we look at the financial sector as the environment. The environment could be the employee who is working in the bank. The environment could be the IT systems or the information security systems which are there, including the data centers which was spoken about in the previous session. The environment could be the customers, environment could be the government, environment could be the regulator also, and the environment could be the entire world at large. Look at the environment, make the changes. Environment is very dynamic, so which means that all the security requirements have to be dynamically changing periodically. The next is C, and C in our opinion stands for two actual words. One is basically customer, because without the customer nothing happens, so see to it that the customer gets what he wants. And as a customer, we don't want any security, because the more levels of security, the more it is inconvenient for us to do the transaction. But then, as a person who has kept the money in the bank, we want the highest level of security. So there is a contradiction there. So C for customer, C for contradiction, C for even customization. This is where perhaps something we need to understand. What could be a security standard for the rest of the world may not necessarily hold good for India. I made the mention about the security in the airports. Most of the airports in the world don't follow the type of security that we do. Why? Because we are a society, we are a country where security threats are perhaps the highest in the world. So we need to have a customized security framework and a customized security offering made available at our end. So that's the next one. The next alphabet stands for U, and U, in our view from the Reserve Bank perspective, is ubiquitous. Security is not only for the data center, security is not only for the laptop or the PC or the handheld device which the person is operating on. Security is not only for the information which the bank is storing. Most of the information a bank or a financial institution stores is not its own information. It is holding it in a fiduciary capacity as an agent, and if that information gets hacked into or gets used or misused somewhere, the bank is going to be held responsible. There can be huge suits which are filed against financial organizations for breach of trust when data is compromised. So security is not only for information. Security is not only for IT systems. Security is even there for people. I remember in one bank, I'm not naming the bank because there may be the representative of the bank here, and this is a real life incident which happened last year. There was a fraud in one of its branches, and the fraud was a typical manual fraud, so it's nothing to do with IT. So when the team went and investigated into the fraud, they could find out the person who perpetuated the fraud. He was an officer in the bank. He had spent 8 years in the bank. So there was a lot of trust which was got on him. And when they did his background check, they actually found out that he was not the person who was supposed to have been recruited by the bank in the first instance. Okay, so the security, we don't know at what level it will be found out, what it will be there, and how it will happen, but this is what really is. So the ubiquitousness is not only for a particular item or a particular thing as we normally understand, but it is for a whole range of products, services, information, assets, people, HR, everything pertaining to what the financial sector is doing. So that's for you. The next alphabet is R, and all of us are comfortable about knowing R as not Reserve Bank of India, but R as risk. My view is that all of us in the financial sector, while it's not only financial sector, in most of the industry, our main business is to manage risks. We have to manage the risk of the customer running away from us. We have to manage the risk of seeing that the customer gets whatever he wants. But the more important risk is that we have to manage our boss every day. So risk is something that we always do. So how do we take care of it? And security is one of the risks that has to be taken care of. So risk management is something that is an integral part of the security portfolio that a bank has to do. Next is I. I stands for information here. the entire information that is available in the banking sector, in the financial sector, in any sector for that matter, is what decides whether that organization is going to be competitive and whether it's going to be staying alive. So information needs to be protected, information assets need to be protected, information needs to be ensured that it is available at the right time, right place, and to the right person in the right manner. A lot of interest is now coming on big data and big data analytics. Day before yesterday, I got a call from many of these telemarketing guys are there. My phone is on the DND, it says do not disturb, but still I got a call. And out of curiosity, I was just sitting at the airport, so I said, let me continue with the call. So the first call was saying that, sir, you're a privileged customer of our bank, you hold a credit card. Then I said, fine, very good. What is it that you want? No, so we are doing a random check on this card. So we have found out that there is some activity which is abnormal. I said, there's no abnormal activity. I use my card in the normal way. No, sir, the transaction the amount that you have used in your transaction day before yesterday is higher than the threshold that we have given. So to check this, we just want to revalidate. So can you tell me your date of birth? Then I said, why do you want my date of birth? How does it matter? Because you have given me the call. I never called you. If I have called you, then you need to validate whether I'm Ganesh Kumar or not. You have called me, so why do you want the date of birth? Okay, sir, as a special case, since you're a privileged customer, we don't want the date of birth. Please just tell your ATM PIN number. Then I said, ATM PIN number, I thought you started talking about a card. Then that person said, no, sir, this is a debit card. Since it is a debit card, it's got an ATM facility also. So why don't you give me the ATM PIN number? Then I said, which card? I hold at least half a dozen cards. So which card is it that you want? No, sir, the card that you are using. I said, see, till now I've been amused. You have not identified which bank you're talking from. So you please tell me. No, sir, your bank. I said, my bank? There's no bank called my bank. Tell me which bank you're talking for. Then immediately the person said, sir, the card that you used yesterday. I was also getting a little irritated at this because the call was going on and I was just waiting for the flight. So then I said, okay, I've got your number. Let me do one thing. Actually, I had to play a game. So I said, I'm from the Reserve Bank of India. I've got your number. I'm going to now call the chairman of your bank and then say, this is what you're doing. Sir, who's Reserve Bank of India? Obviously, the telemarketer or telecaller doesn't know what it is. So they were playing on my emotion, trying to get something without even giving the bank name. This is perhaps the crudest type of frauds that are happening there. But then one needs to be very careful as to how to take care of it, which is where information plays a role. First of all, how did that person get my number? I don't know. Maybe it could be from some source. Today, we have got big data analytics capabilities. I give a search, maybe 100 information will come from the public net, some of which shouldn't have been in the public domain in the first instance. So we do not know how it's going to be impacting us, so we need to be very careful with information. The second last alphabet is T, which we talk about transactions, and transactions is the base for any financial entity to work. How do we ensure that this transaction that a customer does is safe, secure? The last one is Y. I leave it at WHY. But more important is what we look at from Y is that take care of a security instance when it is at its infancy or when it is in its youth stage. When it is at the child stage, typically it won't impact anybody because the security guy, let's say it's a hacker, he's doing something. At the child stage, he will just be trying to do something which will not impact us. It's the youth stage which one has to be very careful because that's the stage at which decides whether the incident can be continued or whether he has to stop it. So there was a talk in the previous one, the reference was mentioned about whether we have a proactive or a reactive stand. We have to have a reactive stand, there's no doubt about that. But if we can have a proactive stand, that will help things not getting materialized into a major risk, which is where the youth stage comes in. So that's, I just thought I'll talk about this is what we do. So what do we do from the Reserve Bank of India side? The area that we were till now worried about was for information security, information asset security, information technology security, and information system security. Today we have added on one more where we call it cyber security. Honestly, I do not know how to draw the line between what is information security and cyber security. Both are pretty intermingled. But what has happened now is that we are now working in a world which is completely interconnected. I dream of a day which is not very far off where perhaps I don't need to do my banking transaction using a particular device. I used to tell 2 years ago that the internet is more or less dead as far as banking transactions are concerned. Very few people are going to come through internet. That didn't really materialize that year. But today, The rise of the mobile has given a huge potential for people to do mobile transactions. Mobile banking is what is there. I do not know how many of us really do mobile banking. We use the mobile as a device to get connected to the internet and then we do the transaction there. But I think even mobile banking is going to go away. With the Internet of Things coming in, it's quite possible that my gas stove may become the device through which a transaction may be processed. My wife may be having her morning normal role of having to cook. And if the gas cylinder gets empty, the gas stove may send a message across to Bharat Petroleum or Indane saying that the cylinder is empty. Check the credentials of Ganesh Kumar. If he has got balance in his account, send a GPS message or a GRPS fitted vehicle near my house where there is gas cylinders going on. The knock comes at the door, gas cylinder is delivered, authorization goes from the gas stove saying debit my account for 600 rupees or whatever the cylinder value is. We are doing a small pilot project in one of the neighborhoods in Mumbai for this, and it's a very well possible reality very soon. So one doesn't know what is the device through which we are going to work. And when the ubiquitousness of the device is going to happen, how are we going to provide the security? When I do a transaction through the mobile, well, one of the things we say is, okay, any transaction that goes through the mobile should be safe and secure, so it should be encrypted so that the hacker or an eavesdropper doesn't get the information from there. That's good as long as it is a mobile device. Now, if it's not a mobile device, it could be my refrigerator, it could be my car. I just go through the car to the petrol bunk. Now, a lot of petrol outlets are equipped with latest technological capabilities. When the car goes in, possibly there is a sensor which checks and sees how much of petrol is there in the car. And immediately the attendant simply comes to me and says, okay, sir, your car has got just 5 liters. The tank has 25 liters. Should I put in 20 liters or what do I do? Better still, he doesn't come and ask at all. When he inserts the tube and switches on the device, it automatically senses how much petrol is there. That much of petrol is filled in. If I say top up or half or whatever, as soon as it is over, through Bluetooth, it goes, or through some wireless communication device, goes to his payment channel. From the payment channel, goes to the bank. The account is debited and goes in. The government has come out with a scheme now saying that if I do a digital transaction in a petrol pump, I'll get what? 0.75% discount. Okay, so that is the thing that we are saying. But I think that may not really be what is there going to be in the future. The future is that I don't do an authentication of a transaction. The transaction gets authenticated by itself. How many of us would like this in the banking channel? My banking friends here. We are used to customers coming to the bank, depositing money, taking money whenever they want in the form of cash, and going and using it for a service. The same thing is replicated in the ATMs as well. The view of Reserve Bank, and which is what is also going to happen in the future, is why should somebody withdraw cash, go and give it to an outlet where he gets a product or a service, where the outlet goes and gives back the cash to the bank again. Instead, can we not do an electronic transaction? Which is where today we've got authentication devices like cards and mobiles and other things like Paytms, etc., which authorize a transaction. Do we need that? Or do we need to have the system digitized in such a manner that as soon as the product or delivery is over, we are able to get the transaction also processed automatically? Which is where role of technologies like Aadhaar or unified payment interface, etc., come in. So that's another thing that the Reserve Bank is trying to look at. Are we looking at the type of delivery channels that are there today? They are valid today. They will be there for some more time. But the future is not going to be the type of delivery channels that are there today. The delivery channel is going to change. Delivery channel is going to change very quickly. And to my fellow banker friends who are here, one of the things I always say is that please look not at that 50-year-old or the 60-year-old who is banking with you, not at the corporate who is banking with you, but at the 25-year-old or 30-year-old who is just passed out of college, who is just coming to bank with you. Find out what he or she wants. And that is going to be the future of the banking. Now, if that is going to be the future delivery channel, how are we going to provide security for that? How are we, first of all, going to know that it is safe? Some of you here must have heard about a couple of instances where some central banks and some commercial banks lost money on account of messages which were sent over an international network. Correspondent bank's account was debited and the money went into casinos and the tracking of the transaction was not there. Why? Do we need to have systems which take care of this? There is also a lurking fear that social media is getting integrated with hackers' capabilities. So suppose now, I'm sure somebody will be possibly giving a text message across saying that they are in Vivanta by Taj in this particular hall, listening to a talk given by Ganesh Kumar of RBI. If there is an intelligent hacker who uses big data analytics, he can get this data and say, okay, Ganesh Kumar is right now not in Reserve Bank of India. He is in Taj Vivanta. He knows that his card is not going to be used because he is addressing. He can, if he has got the details of his card, he can do a transaction with at this point of time. Something similar to that was actually emulated. There was this, in one particular bank, there was this man who was actually doing international trades. And when you do international trades of large values, if you get a huge profit, people like to boast about it. This was not in India, this was outside. So he used to send across WhatsApp messages whenever he did such good transactions, which resulted in huge profits. People were just monitoring these. And whenever they found a pattern in the way he was getting profits. We all know how the markets behave. So they intelligently got into it. The hacker wrote a small software which mimicked as if he is putting in this transaction. There were weak controls in the bank at that point of time. As if this person was putting in a transaction, it went in, authorized the correspondent bank to debit the account, and the money went out. By the time it was noticed, and this was just within a few hours, the money had actually moved in from the correspondent bank to a beneficiary bank, from the beneficiary bank to multiple accounts, so it became very difficult for the money to be brought back. While at one time we say technology is very good, helps us in doing a lot of transactions, technology is also very good in ensuring that the fraudsters, the scamsters, the hackers, and all the other people whom we do not want also use the same technology to send the money across faster. So what is it that we need to do? Ultimately, common sense is what we need to do. I'm sure all of you, the moment you see a person, you have the capability to assess, analyze, and say whether this guy is good or bad, whether he can be a friend or not, whether he can be trusted or not. I'm sure all of us do it. Maybe we have made a mistake when we chose our spouses, but otherwise maybe perhaps we are generally good in that. And this is one thing which all of us, that common sense innate feature that comes in us, possibly we'll have to use it when we do an electronic or a digital transaction as well. And that's the basis under which the Reserve Bank does all its guidelines, all its regulatory activities. For the banker friends here, there are going to be stiffer guidelines which are going to come in because the world is becoming much more difficult to live in. There's going to be more security related activities that we have to do. And this security is going to become part of our day-to-day operations. Jocularly, people were saying, 30 years ago, illiterates, the thumb impression was what was used. Cycle is fully today over. Today, the literates use thumb impression to do their banking transaction. I don't know whether the thumb impression needs to be necessarily done. Maybe when Joshi talks about from the Aadhaar perspective, he will try to say, why do you need even a thumb impression? Maybe as I walk into Taj Vivanta, there'll be a scanner which will see my iris, gets the scan and says, okay, he is Ganesh Kumar, the door opens, enters into the hotel. If it's not Ganesh Kumar, maybe the door won't open. Of course, the Indian jugaad is there. I will piggyback and get through somebody else's thing and we will try to exploit it. So the biggest challenge in security is to keep abreast of technology as it goes on. There are going to be increasing costs. There are going to be increasing learning experiences. I think doctors is one profession where they have to continuously keep updating their skills. I think bankers, from an information security perspective, from a cyber security perspective, also need to keep continuously honing up their skills. Conferences like these help, but then there are other methods through which it has to be done. So we need to be completely alert on that. I can go on generalization, but only two things I will say and I will sum it up. Life is going to be much more easy for customers because, as I said, Internet of Things, digitalization, and various other delivery channels will come. Life is going to be very easy. But life is going to be very difficult to us in the financial sector. And I'm not saying only bankers, it could be the entire financial sector. Life is going to be very difficult because ultimately, anything that goes wrong, we are going to be held responsible. And if we need not be held responsible, then it becomes paramount important that we have the right secure systems in place. More details, the RBI website has all that. Keep updating it. Please keep watching. I'll stop with this now because I think we are going slightly behind schedule. Maybe later on I can take questions. But one thing, just a concluding thing is, The Reserve Bank may be appearing to be dictatorial, maybe appearing to say that thou shalt do this, this has to be done, etc. But at the end of it, it is done keeping in view that banks should be safe, customers should be safe, and therefore the country should be safe. Most of you would have heard about bank failures. The last bank failure in India where depositors lost their money was in 1960. Subsequent to that, we have not had many bank failures. Banks have been amalgamated, banks have been merged, but depositors don't lose their money. When was the last bank failure in the US? Last week, where customers lost their money. So, one good thing is in India, bankers are very good. That common sense innate factor that I said is there. We have also got a regulator who is tough. And at the end of it, because IT is great, we have got a whole set of vendors who help us in this journey. And I think we need to have a symbiotic, holistic effort towards ensuring that this continues in the future. Thanks a lot. See you.
Thank you, Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar. It was actually a wonderful speech, and you shared the individual experiences of yours, and also in general how RBI is taking lead in securing the Indian BFSI sector. So you mentioned about using smart ways, to smart systems and smart ways to deal with it, and how not only banking technology, other information security and other physical security is also important, and as you said in your speech, in terms of securing the Indian banking scenario. And you, in this using smart ways, Aadhaar card becomes very important. You also mentioned about Mr. Joshi, how will he talk about using Aadhaar, and when people have issues with Aadhaar also, like people say that the privacy is one issue which they are facing by using Aadhaar in their system. So we have a lot of questions around, a lot of apprehensions around Aadhaar also. We have a right person to talk about it also. But before that, we will request eminent dignitaries to launch the BFSI magazine, the Banking and Finance Post magazine. We have a special issue, and we request our eminent dignitaries on stage to launch this issue of Banking and Finance Post magazine. Please get the magazine on stage. Thank you very much. So now when government starts the Aadhaar enabled payment ecosystem, and when Aadhaar card becomes important in almost every banking transaction and banking activity, we would like to know from Mr. Somnesh Joshi that how cyber security is important and how UIDAI looks at it. A round of applause for Mr. Somnesh Joshi, ADG of UIDAI, Government of India.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and this august gathering, all the stalwarts of IT, banking sector, financial sector. See, as Mr. Ganeshan has rightly pointed out, that how the future is going to be shaped. And so first of all, I've forgotten that first I appreciate the efforts made by elites India to have this conference, and it is more relevant at this juncture, as Karthik has already told that in the present environment and after demonetization, there's a huge push from government side, regulator side, and industry side. All the stakeholders are working together to take India to a cashless economy destination. And day in, day out, we are reading lots of initiatives have been taken by the government of India and regulators and banks. And you are seeing the flurry of advertisements, not only from banking sector, financial sector, the wallet companies, etc. So we all are witnessing this change in the ecosystem. And this disruption has come, and we have to make use of it. And there's a tenfold increase in the digital payments. Right? But when this network is growing, so initially, all the financial transactions and banking transactions are at the bank branches. And after bank branches, when internet comes, now there's a segment, category of customers who are doing all the banking through the internet. So bank branches and internet and then ATMs. So now I can say the scope has increased a lot when now banking is in the mobile. It's not on the internet, now it's an app. So I can say now we have come in the app era. And now it's a huge network. We have 20 crores smartphones. So maybe say right now 150 crores, 140 crores, or maybe 100 crores are using their mobile as a financial instrument. So of course, if there's expansion, there's a increased security concerns that we have to take care. And it's very important that if we not take care of, so the direction we are going, then we will face some problems. The e-wallets are coming, right? And Aadhaar-enabled payment system is also there. Many apps are there. UPI is there. So I can see the security thing in the two dimensions. One is internal and the external. Internal, of course, all the IT experts are here, and every organization is taking care of the internal things, right? And internally, I can say all the data center also comes under that, right? Your internal transactions and proper security solutions you have in place. So inside the ecosystem, nobody can hack the data. So all these things. So that is the internal thing that, of course, we are doing. Now, it's not only technical security. And again, as RBI CGM rightly pointed out, we have to see the environment where we are working. We can't compare India with any other country or any other environment. Here, when we are going toward digital payment, we have to look into what type of customers we are having, what type of demographic profile we are having, right? So we have a predominantly rural base in our country, and literacy rate is not very much high, but people are using the mobile phone, not a smartphone, but maybe a feature phone. But forget about this type of distinction of the smartphone or feature phone. Even a literate person doesn't know how to use the smartphone very well for use of various applications. I have seen a lot of people, they are not comfortable with even using the Uber or Ola app or maybe any mobile app. They are not comfortable. They still write checks. No, we feel much. So that's why lots of effort now we have to do to educate them about all this product, and not only about the products, the related security concerns we have to educate. Because any wallet, suppose because it's a very simple thing, I'm using a wallet and I simply just logged in and I have 4-digit password. And suppose I have not logged out, just for time being 5 minutes, my mobile is here and somebody maybe stolen, just checked and maybe transferred the money or maybe whatever. So see, all these concerns, we have to educate each and everything. And we are witnessing, and personally a witness while withdrawing the money from the ATM, there are persons are coming, they don't know how to use the debit card. They are putting in the wrong direction. Then the security person available there, he is assisting and he is just saying, this is my PIN number. So lots of things are happening. So this is in the urban area, and rural area we don't know. Even the banking correspondents who are using the micro ATMs, and the micro ATM as on date, they have all the facility, maybe the card swipe facility have also come, Aadhaar-enabled payment system also come. But again, the question comes, this card. So lots of effort we have to make to educate about all these do's and don'ts in these banking transactions and financial transactions. Because this is the area where we can find more security lapses, not from IT point of view, but from process point of view. So that, in this direction, Aadhaar system that right now we have, it's 109 crore Aadhaar numbers we have given, unique number we have given. And using Aadhaar platform, we can mitigate all these type of risks, right? Because if somebody is not having the card, no PIN, no OTP, nothing. But one can do the transaction using the Aadhaar number and the biometric. There's the fingerprint. And my banker friends all are aware that many of the places, these Aadhaar-enabled micro ATMs are working. Around 1.5 lakhs ATMs are already deployed, and banks are going ahead with their plan to increase more and more Aadhaar-enabled payment systems ATM. And because, see, in this the Indian environment, the smartphone solution reaches only, say, 150 crore sort of thing. Then maybe we are seeing all USSD sort of applications available in the market. Okay, use the feature phone and do the banking transaction, etc. Right? But again, then some people are telling it's not much customer friendly. You know, there's a menu is coming. So lots of things we have to enter the number, etc. And around, though we say we have 1 billion mobile numbers in India, but still, to our guess, it's around 30 crore residents who are not having this mobile facility actually. Because the number counts my 3 or 4 numbers. Many people are having 2, 3, 4 numbers. We count and it becomes 1 billion, but actually many residents in the rural areas are not having the feature phone also. What to do? So then we have come out with a solution that's one transfer will go Aadhaar to Aadhaar. And recently we have demonstrated a system where merchant or receiver who's going to receive the payment will have a smartphone, and all the customer, even they are not having anything, they simply know their Aadhaar number and the fingerprint. Of course, they have to give the fingerprint. So that person will go, so on the Android phone, there's a common application. So one merchant can onboard himself through that app and through his or her bank, right? And using the Aadhaar authentication, that is the same person with the biometric authentication, right? Or maybe we are also discussing, and talk is on, and from the RBI. Maybe, see, so this process of the onboarding, maybe up to certain limit, maybe it's a slight easy thing, and maybe if it's more than that, that maybe some more restrictions on onboarding of the merchant, like in the wallet up to 20,000, it's the same eKYC sort of thing, and if you want more transaction, then it's a full KYC. So policy will be there, but point is, when suppose merchant is onboarded on that smartphone, that app is there, and with simple Android phone, and usually he or she is using, and we attach just around 1,500 rupees fingerprint sensor along with that mobile phone. Now, whosoever is coming will simply give the Aadhaar number, an account, and biometric. So amount will be debited from his Aadhaar-linked bank account and credited into the merchant account. So that's a very simple thing, and it's coming. But the moment these type of things, the disruption will take place, so many retail outlets, so many merchants, small traders will start banking transaction. Because why it is different? Because the security angle, because from customer point of view, it's not possible that one can steal the card or the PIN or maybe the OTP, or one can use mobile. So this will be a secure type of process where one can do the banking transaction. So we are in talks with all the banks that it will come in a big way. Now, already everyone is witnessing right now, one campaign is going on by Indian Banking Association with all the banks on this security. Right? So that maybe the industry will push more to educate their customers and even to the merchants. And because again, further, the one has to do in the security lapses. Suppose security lapses happen and something happen. Now the grievance redressal system also one has to educate. The industry has to educate, and maybe I hope very soon the industry will take steps, because from the banking perspective, there's ombudsmen also there. But from lots of wallets are also there, prepaid instruments also there. Maybe they are guided by the RBI, but suppose some things happened. So as on date, it is going to under the IT Act and the cyber crime, and then concerned Secretary IT in the state is the deciding authority and educating officer in that. So lots of things. What are the process of? We must make the audience aware about all these things. Now. On this data center, I think this time is short, so I'll just data center point of view, because maybe in the following session, a lot more discussion will happen. And we should strengthen our the data analytics team. That's very important, because the network is growing, and day in, day out, lots of transactions happen, whether it's Aadhaar linked or maybe card linked or the wallet linked, or the mobile number linked. But one has to do the continuous data analytics, so immediately one can detect if is there any fraud is taking place, or maybe somebody is using the same ID again and again. So my point is one has to strengthen the data analytics. And because see, everyone knows from industry point of view, everyone in the business want to earn the profit and want to increase the customer base, and this is the time where government is pushing, industry is pushing, and regulator is pushing. So everyone is just it seems to launch many applications to take the customer in their fold. But one has to be very careful. You must come out with all the products as far as possible, but security is the utmost concern. We should not compromise on the security perspective, because this is the time when we are taking the customer in our fold on the digital economy, and we have to win the trust and confidence of the customer. If first time somebody is using, if experience is bad, he's not going to come back. So whatever we are doing, we have to do it wholeheartedly, and all check and balances in place, because we have to win. Consumer is the king, so we have to win his, her trust and confidence. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshi. And now the last speaker for this session, and a very important speaker, because not only we have listened to technical aspects also and regulator aspect also of using technology and various other means to secure the banking scenario. Now we will get to know first-hand experience from a person who has been doing work on grounds with people, for people, and taking technology there at the last mile. And whether it is in terms of financial inclusion or in terms of taking health and education services to the people to the last mile, we have seen him working in all these areas and taking personal pains. And also he is from a bureaucrat community. He is an IAS also, and an IAS working so closely with people, and then using technology, and then also taking banking services. He has done work in taking banking services and to the last mile, and also in financial inclusion. And the person who has implemented first digital village of this country, and has done a lot of things in taking cashless banking to these places also. So it's our pleasure to know the views from the person, I can say person from the ground, Mr. M. Nagarajan, who is currently a Chief Executive Officer of Smart City company of Surat. So the special SPV which has been created, he is leading that to make the Surat city smarter as per the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So we are very happy to invite Mr. M. Nagarajan, Chief Executive Officer of Surat Smart City, for his address. A round of applause for Mr. M. Nagarajan, please.
Respected Shri Ganesh Kumar Sir, CGM RBI, Mr. Ravi, Mr. Sumnesh Joshi, other distinguished guests on the dais and off the dais. It's a very opportune moment for me to be here today because a lot of streams of my life have come together today. One is that I can proudly say that I have been an ex-RBI officer and I was just working here in this very same area, 10 minutes walkable distance from here for 4 years. So, and also I can say that I have worked in various aspects which have some touch with the current demonetization phase going on. So I was part of the team which was in the initial days implementing the RTGS in the clearinghouse in Nariman Point, and also I have been the manager in charge of the central RBI vault for 1 year in the just Fort office and all that. So I can say that the entire value chain of demonetization I have had some experience. And in my current and previous profile, I have also worked with cashless and other technologies, taking them to the rural people. So I can claim a 360-degree experience as far as this cash flow and demonetization is concerned. So some of the ideas I want to share is that throughout when we are talking about technology, it's a very august gathering, so naturally we will tend to talk about very cutting edge things, about the near future and the far future. But we also have to deal with a lot of legacy challenges. Ganesh Kumar sir has told you who is going to be your prime customer. But always there is another aspect to our thinking, is that inclusionary aspect and also the adoption. In the current drive, we are running a lot of camps in the past 1 month to enable people to go cashless. A lot of pain points even within the current industry. Still we have to tell the people. So when we go to the hawkers and vendors and we tell them you adopt these cashless payments with the support of bankers and even wallet companies and all that. So there are a lot of related factors that is inhibiting the adoption. One is that basically connectivity is a major issue that you should be able to have, and the availability of smartphones. And third is that where the person will learn how to do a basic thing. It is very easy for us to gather some 100 people, put them in a meeting hall, show a presentation with slides and say this is how mobile banking is done or wallet is done. And then everyone, agrees and accepts and moves on. Then what happens next? There is nothing. Because that onboarding process, somebody has to guide them. In fact, that is one of the ironies of why we are not getting the full benefits of digital technologies in this country, is that there is nobody to onboard somebody. The majority of the population or the people who are now getting exposed are not digital natives. And there is nobody who can give them a green card to become the digital immigrants. How do we enable or speeden up that process? That is something that the industry, the government and everyone has to jointly address. Because to enable that pain point is the biggest challenge. One of the experiments we did was that Akodra Digital Village, which was done 2 years ago. When you are doing something too much ahead of the time, it's very difficult to convince your stakeholders also, the sarpanch of the village and all that. So that time we had a discussion with the 2 years ago with the ICICI Bank people when they wanted to do some cashless things in a village. I was the district development officer of that district, and I thought it as a good opportunity to mainstream something which is anyway going to be the future. Now there are a lot of cashless options about how to go about doing the transactions, and that time it was the SMS payments and closed loop card mechanism was implemented there. But what is unique about that village is that it's not just the technology, it was implemented somewhere, but we were trying to go beyond banking and trying to take a holistic view about how the village could be digital in various life cycle, from a person who is born today to the person who is retired and just spending his last days of his life in the village. How could he benefit from the digital in the overall life cycle? So we covered the Anganwadi and school and the skill development, vocational education, e-health center, the dairy payments were also made cashless, and as a special case, the farmers of the village were also linked to the APMC, where even their APMC money was also credited to their bank account, which they could, we basically tried to avoid dealing with cash. That was 2 years ago. Talking about those things 2 years ago was looking very, exotic or something too unnecessary. But within 2 years, the time has changed, and today, now everyone is talking about cashless. So when that is another thing. Today, when we are talking about cyber security, maybe we are 1 year, 2 years ahead of what is in the general mainstream thinking. But onboarding the mainstream people into these kind of thinking is the biggest challenge that we all have to address together. Another related challenge that we all have seen is that I always used to say that learning about digital is like learning to bicycle. If you don't learn it before 15 years, you are never going to learn it in full-fledged way in your life. You will never learn it after that. So before 15 years, somebody, your college mate, your school friend, or somebody is going to help you, you together do it, you fall down, you cycle, and then you get a confidence. After that, you are going to manage. But once you cross that time, it is very difficult, and the person will never feel comfortable. When 15, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, when computers were introduced in government, people feared to touch the mouse because they feared that something might go wrong. So the challenge is not one part is technology, the bigger part is about the human nature and the culture and the society. So there we need to speeden up the process, because the rate of speed of technology is so high that if we are going to wait for the best mobile phone to come, we will never buy the mobile phone, because there is always something new that's going to come up. So the maturity, technology that is apt to the maturity of the person, how do we sell it? So now we have a bouquet of options with the Aadhaar ecosystem and the Jandan Aadhaar and mobile model, JAM model, and also the latest upcoming is called the India Stack, is all providing the possibility of giving a bouquet of technology choices, especially in the banking and the identity crisis that we are facing. Once upon a time, if a person's credibility was to be identified, his reputation was his identity. After that, his word became his identity, that if the person says that is supposed to happen. After that, we had paper contracts and other things. And then we moved on from the biometric and other technologies. And now we are again maybe going back to a full circle into a way where there will be seamless identification, where we don't need to prove your identity in every case. You will already be identified with multi-factors and other things. So there will be the seamless elimination of any pain points among this. Another related challenge we faced is there is no dispersion of technology or the rate of adoption of technology in the rural areas. It's very, very, I would say, very ironic that major part of the population we are talking about mainstream, we are talking about big technologies, but the real adoption in real life is still a big challenge to be addressed. So there we need to work with the people. We have when we are talking about smart cities, we have to talk about smart villages and how to disperse these things in technology to enable the people. Because what I find, because I have been an industry insider, I am with the government, but when I am working with the people, I always find that the benefits of technology, there is a tendency to harness or hold it for some more time, maybe in terms of, unless the competition forces the real dispersion of technology doesn't happen. And there is a chance for multiple players to come together and provide the citizens better. I am sure that no organization will have profit as its motive. They will only have a mission where profit is also part of it. But sometimes we see that profit displaces the main mission or the vision statement of the company, where it will say that enabling the customers to do this, enabling the society to do this and all that. But that never comes in any discussion. I know that we all live quarter to quarter and these things. But somewhere beyond that, when we climb our ladder very fast, we need to put it against the right wall also. Otherwise, we will be creating a very imbalanced society, which is another thought which I wanted to fill in the gap about what the complementary to what the other ideas that are floating around. Connectivity is a major challenge. Still, we are not able to do that. We are talking about 3G, 4G, or even 5G. So that is another challenge that needs to be addressed. Of course, that is there are a lot of other industry which is doing that. As far as Surat is concerned, we have been selected as the fourth, smart city in the first challenge of the first top 20 cities. We are aiming to be the number one in the next 6 months. We are planning to be the most livable city in the world. We are competing on a global scale. We are in the process of doing ISO 37102, which is a data quality for the cities. All our projects are in RFP and implementation stages. We are right now, our RFP for common city payment card is on. So any bankers here could explore the option. 9 out of 10 diamonds which are polished in the world is done in Surat. And the diamond booths, which is right now operating in Bombay, will be moving to Surat in next few years. A city called Dream City is being built. The process has already started, land has been allotted. And we are also aiming to be the first fiber-enabled city where we will be able to provide fiber to the home facilities to every resident at affordable rates. That project also is currently the UI is on. So we are trying to build a gigabit city, which is having the physical infrastructure and the social infrastructure and also the IT infrastructure to enable the best quality of life for the citizens. So I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts. I thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nagarajan. And now we are closing this inaugural session, and I request Dr. Gupta to please present mementos to all the eminent dignitaries who have joined us in the inaugural session, and please present mementos as token of appreciation as well as a token of thanks. A variety of stakeholders, and to start with our last speaker, Mr. M. Nagarajan, Chief Executive Officer of Surat Smart City. Sir, I request you to please present a memento to the dynamic officer. Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar, Chief General Manager of Reserve Bank of India. Round of applause for Mr. S. Ganesh Kumar for enlightening us about this. And Mr. Sumnesh Joshi, Assistant Director General of UIDAI, Government of India. Round of applause for Mr. Joshi, please. Mr. Murtaza Bhatia from Dimension Data. He is a practice head of security and data center services. We saw his presentation. And Mr. Vineet Hinger, head of BFSI division in Dimension Data. I request for a group photo from our eminent inaugural session dignitaries and bureaucracy. So that was a discussion on building a digital trust platform for secure electronic banking. And as we served the tea in the hall itself, I'll take a permission from eminent delegate.